whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. We have a fabulous show. We're going to go live to Maui in the second part of the show. One of our viewers, our listeners, our Medorables, Deirdre, say her name right. She has a friend that's in Maui. And so we are going to hear from people there. I want to get, her name is Rhonda. I want to get her take on it. It is this conflict of, do tourists come or not? And basically what it sounds like to me is Maui is open. Lahaina is closed, which to me seems obvious. You cannot go to Lahaina. You should not be, touring there. You should not be taking photos there. They haven't even recovered everybody yet. So, but we will be hearing from Rhonda, and I'm really excited just to kind of get an on the ground perspective from somebody that's there. Obviously, this is still a huge tragedy. But we'll be talking about that and with her in the second part of the show. We will be starting. Yeah, I saw. Who was it? Eric. I don't know why. Okay, so Eric wrote in, I kind of don't want to give OAN any sort of legitimacy by even acknowledging its existence. Huh. I feel you, Eric, but I'm telling you this is worth it. I am telling you that this rap song, just for a brief moment, is worth it. I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to be convinced to start watching OWN that wasn't already on that bandwagon to begin with. But I promise you, the laughing that I did yesterday, totally. I want to be a fly on the wall on this team meeting where they decided to do this rap song and hear how that conversation went, because I do not understand how anyone in their right mind thought this was a good idea. But this isn't the only thing that we're going to be laughing about the far right, the GOP. I mean, there's from Vivek to Ted Cruz, they're out of their mind ridiculous. And it's so funny. Then apparently, I have another funny video. I just want to laugh this morning at the GOP, of course. They had this Reawaken America event over the weekend in Vegas. Did you hear about this? Some people, and I'm not making light of this at all, some people are saying these sorts of events you can compare to something like ISIS. This kind of brainwashing, war on the other side type of thing. And they're not kidding. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. What I'm going to show you from this, just I don't know. It's just another example of how badass crazy some of these MAGA people are. And I don't know what they're going to do. Even if, God forbid, Donald Trump wins another presidency, which I really don't see how that can happen given all of his legal problems.
Oh, don't
but
even say it. Oh.
But even if, God forbid, it happened, that in 4 years he's gone, right? Like, who is then your dear leader? I just don't get these people, but whatever. And yeah, so we'll talk about that. I know this story came out last week. I don't know if you touched on it, Kim, either on my show, Mark's, or your after party, but this Benicia mom that was quote unquote fired from her realtor job.
No, we didn't talk about it. Mm-mm.
So she's blaming cancel culture, which there are certain words that are just trigger words for me of like, I know everything I need to know about you. If you say cancel culture and woke to me, we're done having a conversation. I apologize, but I have judged you like I judge people with weak handshakes. Like, we're done. It's just over. So she says that cancel culture got her fired for speaking up at a Benicia school board meeting. Now, again, this is why I bring it up. One, this whole cancel culture thing is total BS. But two, do you think, and I hate to use the word fair because life's not fair, right? But do you think it's fair for somebody with, that may, you're allowed to not believe things the way I believe it. And you're allowed to voice that. should the consequence of voicing something in a forum where you're supposed to do so, a school board meeting, right? Open it up and those sorts of things. Should that get you a consequence of getting fired? Now, I understand if you're in the middle of a McDonald's cussing everybody out and calling them the N-word. Okay. But if you're being brought to a meeting, and I'm just throwing this question out there because I have my own opinions, but I'm trying to do this as neutrally as possible. If you're at a school board meeting where they want to hear people's opinions and you share an opinion that other people don't agree with, should that automatically mean that you get targeted by cancel culture? Where your place of employment or what you do for a living, all those sorts of things. Or is there another answer to disagreeing? And so we can kind of debate that a little bit. I am getting ready, Kim McAllister, for the big show tomorrow. Beyonce is coming to Levi State.
Oh yeah, I heard they welcomed her in at the airport at San Jose Mineta, and that she has also been given similar
status,
similar things to Taylor Swift. So yeah.
So I'm very excited. Apparently she just dropped like over the weekend that she wants people to show up in silver because she's a Virgo and I guess silver's her thing. You could have told us a little earlier. I'm just saying. I don't know what I'm going to wear. There's a part of me that's old and it's just like, just wear jeans and a t-shirt, right? And then there's the other part of me that's like, what would I have done for Taylor Swift? I mean, I would have gone out and gotten an outfit, right? I feel like because I was easily able to get nosebleed seats to Beyonce, I'm less invested in dressing up for this concert. But yeah, so I got to decide today what I'm going to do. I will be here the day after the concert, probably looking like a hot mess, but I will be here on Thursday after the concert because we're taking VTA. So I don't know when I'm
automatically just have the silver clothes in your wardrobe.
Okay. So I'll be honest with you. I think I have something. I think I have something. I do, but I don't because I moved, Kim. I'm not quite sure if it's in my closet. It's as easy as like digging in my closet and seeing if I have it. But if I do, I have the perfect top for it. I absolutely, and it's going to be hot tomorrow. It's like the hottest day of the whole week. I'm still bringing a jacket because I'm born cold, but I will be there. I'll take some pictures and do all those sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'll be having a good time. I will definitely be taking pictures. And I'm going to take VTA. My husband's like, do you want to ride our bikes? Because when we watch the Niners play, we park a little nearby Levi Stadium where it's free. Like it's just like in a parking lot. And then we ride our bikes in through the creek because then you can get in and out in like 2 seconds. I ain't wearing my fancy schmancy outfit other than riding my bike. Sorry, not sorry. It's not happening. I love you, honey. But, Niner gear is one thing. Looking hot to trot is a totally different thing, and I do not want to ride my bike. So we're taking VTA. We're going to do it safe, and it's going to take me forever to get home, but it's okay. It's absolutely okay. And yeah, Randy, you're absolutely correct. So if you go to San Jose International Airport and fly in for the concert or whatever, there's a big XO, and XO is one of Beyonce's songs, and there's a professional photographer taking pictures. I'm not taking my ass to the airport for no good reason, so no. I'll just take a picture at the actual concert. So there you go. And no, thank you, Jim Slayton. I do not have an old Raider outfit anywhere in my closet, and I would never be wearing the silver and black. But yeah, so keep it tuned. I'll be here tomorrow too, obviously. So, but yeah, I'm very, very excited about the Beyonce concert, and we'll be talking about that. So a fun show. Also, kind of in the music realm, I'll be playing you. Oh, I want to have this debate, and I hope we have time for it. And I feel like we've talked about this before, but it's being really brought to the forefront. Did you see the video of this Adele fan at a concert of hers? She called out security for harassing this one guy who was standing during her concert. Well, little did we know when the first story broke, I think 2 days ago, that the guy that was being harassed was actually filming himself at the concert. And so we have that video. And it's this question of, were the people complaining in the right? I'm going to show you the video. You say, I'm going to a concert tomorrow. I'll show you the video. And then you tell me it's Adele. It's not, Beyonce or, not necessarily Adele's upbeat, but she's not always upbeat. You know what I'm saying? The standing up, the singing loud. Is it appropriate? And do you side with the guy or do you side with the people that were unfortunately seated
if I was at an Adele
right
concert,
him?
you couldn't stop me from singing out loud.
Thank you. I mean, whatever. We'll talk about that in just a moment. All right, let's get some business out of the way. And you know what that business is, my friends. Click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. Do it right at the beginning or when you remember, but make sure you do it each and every show. It helps us out. Plus, the super chat is live. So look for the $ underneath the live chat box, the little community of chit chat that you guys do. And you can give us a super sticker, a super thanks, a super comment that we will read live if you do it live during the show. And then please sign up for our Patreon. Our monthly Patreon button is at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is there. You can sign up for any amount that you can afford. It's a one-time a month payment. So just think of it as a monthly tip for the show. And we really do appreciate every single Medorable that has signed up. I love you. I love you. I love you. Our PayPal link is there. My email, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And of course, the merch shop, thenikkimedoroshop.com. Okay, we are going to do, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Ricky O'Bear. Make sure you have subscribed and hit that bell so you don't miss a moment of the show. All right, Kim's going to do some headlines, and then I'm going to come back with some hilarious videos showing why some MAGA people are just out of their right mind. That's coming up right after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, good morning, Nikki Medoro. Good morning, everyone. Former President Trump says he made the right decision by skipping the first Republican primary debate last week. In a post on Truth Social, Trump claimed his poll numbers are up following what he called the very boring debate. He has maintained a significant lead over the Republican field in recent polls, much to everyone's shock and awe. President Biden will host Costa Rica's president at the White House today. The two plan to hold a bilateral meeting discussing deepening cooperation on a number of key issues, including immigration. This comes as a record number of migrants are coming into the United States. Social media giant Meta says it has disrupted a disinformation campaign linked to China. The Facebook, Instagram, and Threads parent says a Chinese law enforcement agency is behind the campaign that generated positive news about China and criticized U.S. journalists. Meta has blocked the campaign on its own platforms, calls it the largest known operation of its kind. Meta took down more than 7,700 accounts on Facebook alone. Lest you think there's not fake information rolling around on Facebook, there it is again. Netflix is ending its DVD service. Whatever shall we do? The streaming service says it will stop shipping DVDs in about a month. Netflix also announced subscribers will not be charged for any unreturned discs after September 29th.
Well, keep them.
We don't even want them. Really, it's not worth the postage, people.
It's like that box of like VHS that you have, or I mean, when we did our yard sale not too long ago, it was crazy. Now, here was a funny thing that happened though. So, when we're part of, because we're SAG-AFTRA union, we would get the DVDs of the movies that were not all of them, but for us to vote on.
For the Oscar contenders, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, top of the line movies, right? My husband, I kept them because I watch them, occasionally. And he's like, can we sell these? I was like, no. I was like, do not sell those. I will get so busted because there's a code on it. And he's like, oh, bummer. I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, and then I was like, who wants DVDs anymore? It doesn't even matter because everybody watches everything through streaming nowadays.
It's true. Well, in a social media post, Netflix told customers, enjoy your final shipments as long as you like, because
there you go.
That's it. Prosecutors say a deadly weekend stabbing outside of a Washington, D.C. area McDonald's involving two teenage girls stemmed from an argument over sweet and sour sauce.
What?
I'm telling you, a 16-year-old girl died after another 16-year-old girl allegedly stabbed her when their argument turned physical outside of the restaurant. The suspect, who was knocked to the ground during the fight, told police she pulled the knife in self-defense. Honestly, over sweet and sour sauce.
That kind of, those stories frighten me just because our kids are in high school. But my daughter, after that dance, remember I told you guys the story about picking her up next door. She was saying that some of the kids were there was actually a fight that my children were not there to see, my child. But yeah, she's like, just words are always just exchanged between people. And then all of a sudden it escalates like that. And part of me wonders if that's how it always was, but now social media makes it more like we can see it more often. Or if, things like COVID and being isolated and everything is just creating this, I don't want to call it a sickness, but just they don't know how to interact with each other. They don't know how to handle conflict without it escalating so quickly to a fight or something more violent.
Yeah. It's just such a waste of these girls' lives.
I
Honestly.
know. Ugh.
Sad. You've been following the story out of Vallejo. Remember this police officer who was fired over the shooting at the George Floyd riots outside of a drugstore in Vallejo? Well, he was taken off the force, fired. He could soon be put back on the police force in Vallejo. So Vallejo Police Union officials say Officer Jarrett Tunn's determination has been overturned in arbitration and that he is now awarded full back pay. Tun shot and killed Sean Monterosa from the back seat of an unmarked police vehicle in June of 2020. Monterosa was outside of a store where looters had recently been at the time, and Tun said he was crouching in a position, reaching for what Tun said looked like a gun in his waistband. Turned out it was a hammer.
Okay.
Tun's attorney had long argued the shooting was justified. The attorney for Monterosa's family says the officer's return to the police force shows a complete lack of accountability for the shooting by the city of Vallejo.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, again, and this is what they always say is, cops that have these, cases against them or whatever, they just move around and then you don't even know, who you're dealing with on the street. Oh, that's a tough one.
We have a situation. What we have here is a situation. Some Bay Area residents could have their power shut off for a time this week because of concerns about wildfires. PG&E officials say they are eyeing a potential public safety power shutoff Wednesday for several Northern California counties, including Napa County, Yolo County as well. Utility officials say they will shut off power depending on a number of factors, and that includes the weather and the wind levels, vegetation from the fires beginning to pop up more often in the region, and officials say fire season overall is starting to ramp up. So it could be that we need to, if we're going to have a big wind event, we need to shut off that power.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Again, like Loretta Lynch, and if you missed our conversation last week with Loretta Lynch, you can find it in the past shows. But she was talking about there's some simple, easy, cheap fixes, that can avoid some of these things, the hanging lines and all those sorts of things. But instead, they're just going to make everybody lose their power, which is frustrating.
Big day for Nikki Medoro. The NFL roster cut down deadline day is here.
Sign Robbie Gould, please. Sign Robbie Gould.
Teams have to trim their rosters from 90 players down to 53 by 4 p.m. Eastern today. The NFL season kicks off next week when the Detroit Lions take on the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Yeah, that should be a good game. I mean, we have no kicker, Kim. We have no kicker. And I'm just very confused on why we did not sign Robbie Gould when we could have. He wanted to come back. He was like the top scorer. Like it boggles my mind. It pisses me off. They better get him on the phone. So many games come down to a kick. So many games come down to a missed kick. That's why the other team won. It drives me absolutely nuts. Like both of our kickers are injured. It's ridiculous. So please get Robbie back. Please.
Why wouldn't they have signed him? Does he make too much money?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's like a top star. But again, who gives a crap? Pay the man. And then sign Bosa. What the hell are we doing over here? Bosa and Gould. Those are two things that need to happen today. Thank you.
Lastly, Burger King must face a lawsuit that claims its Whopper burgers are too small. A judge in Miami rejected the fast food chain's request to have the lawsuit dismissed. The proposed class action lawsuit claims Burger King misleads customers with menu pictures that make the Whopper appear to be 35% bigger and contain twice the meat than what's actually served to you. Burger King argued it doesn't need to serve burgers that look exactly like the picture. McDonald's, Wendy's, and Taco Bell are also facing similar lawsuits. Yes, it does. False advertising if it doesn't look like the picture.
It never has. When has it ever really truly? I will say it, and again, I've never had one. But I will say when people order it, I will say the Big Mac. The Big Mac pretty much looks like it does, but I feel like that middle piece of bread is what really helps it get that kind of like big look on it. But come on, people. Of course, they're going to make it pretty for the picture. It's just like the rest of us. We look really pretty for the picture. In real life, like, kind
It
of a
always
mess.
looks a little better than what arrives in front of you. You know, it's the way it goes. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it happens and how it rolls out in court. Whether the judge says, you know what, it needs to look like the picture. Dummies.
No, it'll never happen.
This report is crowdfunded, which means we do rely on you. You can check us out at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And I can already see Harry starting us off with a super sticker, Stan starting us off with a super sticker. Wow. In 65, there were so many fights when I was a kid, but they were not life-threatening. Yeah. And most of the time, they were over. When they were over, it was all over.
Right, they squashed it. It's like, you know, it's like that from Friday, that scene from Friday. He's like, you know, you use your fist, you fight, so you can live to fight another day. And people just, not everything has to be to the death. Calm the frick down. I don't know. That's
Stan, thank you so much for helping us this morning. Yeah, rock on, man.
All right, that's Kim McAllister doing our news. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready to giggle with me? Because again, my politics are showing. My politics are always showing. I don't hide it. I do not hide it on this show at all, that I think MAGA people are absolutely out of their mind nuts. Out of their mind nuts. Okay, so let's start with the rap song. Okay, so OAN. What is it? It's One American News, or what is it? It's OAN is One American News Network. Okay, One America. Whatever.
Should stand for One Crazy Ass
Badass Crazy Channel. Okay, they're total MAGA. They don't hide it. This is not, they're trying to, fair and balanced, even though Fox News is full of crap too. OAN is a Trump supporting station. That is it. And there is nothing more, no better way, I guess, to prove my point than what they have just done. So apparently the headline was this, though, because, okay, I know I'm jumping around right now. I had a friend that I worked with in Sacramento. Okay. Total liberal, but got offered a job at Fox News. Okay. Like the corporate, the network in New York. Okay. Huge. And this was back in, I have to say, 2007, 2008-ish. Okay. So back then, and she took the opportunity. I mean, it was a step up. Professionally, working for network news is a huge step up.
Yeah,
now,
but it's Fox News. It's not
exactly
real news. And do you sell out?
She was really no. She didn't stay very, very long. I think she ended up going to public radio. But so she did take the opportunity, though, and she spent a couple of years there or whatever. So this headline reads, several OAN network employees walked out of the newsroom in order to avoid taking part in what I'm about to play for you, which is this pro-Donald Trump rap video. Now, this was released last week. It's in OAN's newsroom, and there's this Republican rapper named Forgiato Blow. His YouTube channel is called Mayor of Magaville. So that tells you everything you need to know. And then, so this Blow dude and OAN host Dan Ball are kind of the focus of this rap song. Now, I might get dinged for this, but I don't care because it's too much. I'm just going to play you a little of it. And again, if you wonder if these people are in a cult, this is all you need to watch. So here we go. This again, and this is all about how the Trump number 4 indictment is BS and Trump is innocent and all this sort of stuff. So here we go. Look, there's the mayor of Magaville right there. Tattoos on the face, an innocent sweatshirt of Donald Trump. See, there he is. I mean, and there's the newsroom where people apparently did not. These people apparently said okay, but other people were like, "I'm not being in this rap video." Here we go.
This a message to the fake news. We all know Trump won. Try to censor us and ban every single one of us. Father and a journalist, he never changed for the fame. 30 years later, Day of Balls, legendary, man. Get real. Read between the lines. FJB, middle finger to the other side. Get real. Read between the lines. Trump 24 indicted in a landslide. Voters got rights. Waving flags and the stars and stripes. Indicting presidents, that's not right. And questioning the outcome of election is a crime and give me life.
All right, that's all I'm going to do for you. I love Murphy. N to the O to the P to the E. Nope. I love it. That is so. But yeah, this is now. I don't know anything about Dan Ball, the OAN host. I know nothing about this dude, and he's like been in it for 30 years. If that's true, you have fallen. I can't imagine Dan Ball started being a freaking MAGA nut, right? But this is what you put your face on. This rap video where he's like doing these moves like he's a rapper. I don't know. I'm glad that at least there's some people at OAN that are thinking I do not want to be associated with that. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, MJ, so bad.
I can't even speak. Like oh my God, really?
Heather says, I just cringed so hard. You could have shoved a lump of coal at my butt and turned it into a diamond. Oh, yeah. And Eric, you're so correct. Do you think, Eric writes, Trump would mock that guy behind his back? Do you truly think that Donald Trump, I mean, on one hand, I'm sure he's totally flattered, right? Because he's flattered if any time his name is brought up. But do you think he wants to be associated with, he does not want to be associated with those that are most loyal to him. Trust me on this. He probably talks crap about every single one of these cult followers. Like, I could do anything I want to, and they'll just still follow me, the morons. Daniel says this stuff is like a pro wrestling match. They're not serious, and I don't even think that they think that they're really serious. I hope you're right. Unfortunately, I don't think so. Now, speaking of people that think they can rap. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he has been sent a cease and desist letter because, in case you don't know, he loves to rap Eminem's song "Lose Yourself," and Eminem does not care for that very much. Here is Vivek trying to rap. Here we go.
Opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. He's so stagnant.
Okay, so why? Why are you doing this?
Eminem said, "Please don't do that."
Please, yes. So he's been sent a cease and desist letter. The campaign is asked to stop using the artist songs immediately. Now, this was 11 days after that video that I just showed you. They said BMI will consider any performance of the Eminem Works by Vivek 2024 campaign from this date forward to be a material breach of the agreement for which BMI reserves all rights and remedies with respect thereto. The campaign has not responded, of course, but stop rapping. Who are you trying to convince? I mean, it's just...
Do you think this is a concert or a political event? What are you doing?
Lose yourself in what moment? The moment that you've lost your soul to the devil? Like, what are you talking about? Do you even understand why Eminem wrote that song or the background of it? It's just, I don't know, man. Maybe he does. I mean, he's not that old. Vivek is, I don't know. Let's Google. How old is Vivek? I mean, he's probably
40s.
Yeah, 38. So he's young. So, I'm sure he has a background of Eminem. But yeah, it's too much. Yeah. Kay says that guy is the worst, giving tech bros a bad name. Well, I'm sure. I mean, unfortunately, tech bros can get a bad name. I don't think that he's the one leading the charge. Flo says, now make this the second worst rap song and video I've seen. Please don't ruin that great song from Eminem. Exactly. And I don't know. But so Vivek's a laughing stock, and so is who we love to laugh at, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz can't stop figuring out what is real and what is fake on the internet, which doesn't surprise me since obviously he can't, tell fake news from real news, apparently. So he retweets this video by the account N Wokeness, okay? And he says, this is nuts. And N Wokeness had tweeted, the Biden administration welded open the Trump border wall in Tucson, Arizona. It's not a crisis. It's by design. So here's the video that they claim Biden has welded open the doors to let everybody in. Okay. So now you see the video shows what it shows. Okay. Oh my God. What could this mean? This is only because of the Biden administration. No, my friend. Uh, Even on this tweet or X or whatever the hell you call it, they say readers added context. These are floodgates that are required to be opened during Arizona's monsoon season. If left closed, the force of flash floods caused by seasonal rain and the debris they would carry would topple the border wall. This practice was also done during the Trump administration. So again, Ted Cruz, not the smartest man on the block. He has fallen for all sorts of stupid crap before. He fell for a tweet that there was a shark in the water of 405. He doesn't seem to have anybody as part of his staff to vet things before he starts tweeting and retweeting them. So that disqualifies Ted Cruz from talking about whatever is real or fake anywhere at all. Absolutely. Yeah. Spin, spin, spin a lie. How could they? It's just all BS. It's absolutely all BS. Okay. Now, finally, let's move on to something a little bit closer to home. And again, it's because of this narrative that is promoted by Trump and the GOP, this whole, oh, you're infringing on my First Amendment rights, cancel culture, you got to be so woke and blah, 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 blah. There is this Bay Area mother who claims she was fired, even though technically she can't be fired, but she says that cancel culture got her fired after she condemned a school district's sex ed curriculum at a board meeting. Her name is Janet Robertson. I'm going to play you a little bit from our friends over at ABC7. And when you watch this is my question. School board meetings are a place where parents in the community can go to share their opinions about whatever issue has to do with the school. Now, they've been overtaken by people that, one, don't live in the district, don't have kids in the district, don't have kids at all, right? And I don't think that that's right. I think that if you want to take up time, the limited time at a school board meeting, you should have skin in the game. And by that, I mean children, right? You should be, or at least be a part of the community. Okay. So, which apparently she was. But then she also spewed an opinion that didn't sit well with a lot of people, specifically regarding gender fluidity and the asking of pronouns and things like that. So here's a little bit of this news report from ABC7.
So as a mom speaking at a school board meeting, you should be able to do that without losing your job.
Janet Robertson has 3 children in the Benicia school system. Last April, she spoke up at a school board meeting about her opposition to a new sex education curriculum.
It's not a choice. People are not gender fluid, and to teach our children this is not okay.
She says opponents were quick to publish editorials online and in local media, calling her a bigot and transphobic. She believes the public backlash and subsequent letters she says were written to her employer, Compass Real Estate, led to her being let go 10 days later. Compass Real Estate issued a statement saying Compass does not make decisions about agents' affiliations with the company based on their personal, political, or social beliefs. And the superintendent of Benicia Unified School District said parents and guardians have the right to opt out of all or part of sexual health instruction.
So, and I'll just leave it right there. So there you go. Now, again, there's another layer to this because this Janet Robertson woman, she has a website called, of course, Benicia Freedom, where they're talking about, the freedoms of Americans and cancel culture and woke and anti-socialism and those sorts of things. But I just want to narrow in specifically on her comments during the school board meeting, because I want to keep this as fair as possible. Now, she can be badass crazy and have her website and whatever. Okay. But when you're talking at a school board meeting and she says gender fluid is not a thing, that's, I don't want it being taught to our kids. Are people not allowed to voice that opinion?
Yeah, you voice
in this
it.
kind of situation without the backlash of
No. I go back to this statement. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence.
True.
So you can open your mouth and say whatever it is you're going to say, But that doesn't mean other people don't have to react to it or aren't going to react to it. And she found out the hard way. If you're going to stand up, open your face, and have ugliness fly out of your mouth, you're taking a big risk that your employer isn't going to want you, that that you're going to get a bad name for yourself in the community, that you're going to get a reputation as a bigot and someone we don't necessarily want to turn the microphone on for, right? She can go back to the school board meeting and say the same crap over and over again, but every time there may be a different consequence. So no.
Now she can't be technically fired because she's an independent contractor, and I guess it's kind of this affiliate thing where if they don't want to keep you, they don't have to keep you, but you're not technically fired. I don't think she can get workman's comp, let's say, and she has gotten another job, so it's not as if her livelihood has been threatened. But I guess my issue with this, and the reason why I kind of wanted to debate this is there a better way of handling stuff like this than, I'm just going to use the word doxing because they found out where she worked. They kept publishing it. She was described as a Compass real estate agent every time somebody wrote an editorial about it, as if, instead of saying Benicia mother or whatever, right? Or even naming the school that her kids went to. They were identifying her through her job, which I can just glean and take an opinion of perhaps they did want her employer to let her go. Why should she lose her job? And I agree with you, Kim. There's consequences to what you have to say. But is there a better way of bridging this? Because how long are we really going to do this before we try to say, you know what? You don't, she said right there, gender fluid is not a thing. I feel like there's an education opportunity right there, right? I feel like if we would just, and maybe this is just Pollyanna-ish of me.
Yeah.
If we would just kind of be like, okay, if you don't understand it, let's educate you on this. This is your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. But what are you basing your opinion on? And I would assume, which is an assumption, that it's because you don't know anybody that's gender fluid. You haven't had an interaction with somebody that's done that. And so I guess I feel like we just go in circles of, you say something, you get fired, and you're just labeled a bigot or whatever, which she may be, right? I mean, she's just spew hate on this website that she created. But how do we stop this cycle? How do we stop it? How do we bring people over to understanding instead of ostracizing them and getting them fired and pushed off into a corner where they can grow and their hate can grow and their misunderstanding can grow instead of being educated?
There are some people, it's like talking to a Trump supporter till you're blue in the face. There are some people you just can't convince. They're just locked in, whatever their ideology is, whatever they think, and you're never going to change them. So, I mean, in a perfect world, it would be a great opportunity for educating people or for letting people know that, that everyone lives differently or what have you. But this is not someone I think that you can reason with. There's no logic. There's no open-mindedness. There's no, let's think about things and have an open mind. This is not who you're dealing with here. This is not this person.
So do we just write people like this off?
Yeah,
I mean,
sadly.
But then I feel like then we're just going to have this group, possibly growing group of people that nobody reaches out to change the mind. Who's going to get through to these people?
They're going to have to go through their own epiphany where they realize that Mark Thompson interviewed this man the other day who got sucked into the whatever church. What's the Scientology? Okay. Oh. And for years, decades, he didn't talk to his brother because his brother didn't believe, but he did. 25 years. And they were really close and they were musicians together and what have you. And then one day he started questioning. And then he looked at the website, which is forbidden. You're not supposed to do that. And questioning. Right. It took him getting to the point where he was questioning to leave the church and rebuild a relationship with his family members. These people are going to have to do it for themselves. They're going to have some type of personal growth moment where they realize, oh, what have I been doing all along? What have I been thinking all along? And maybe that's someone they love coming out as a transgender person or non-binary person, whatever. whatever it is. Maybe it is getting to know someone that they were prejudiced against before and realize, oh, this isn't such a scary thing. They're just a person, with different ideas, or
Exactly.
with a different thing that turns them on or doesn't turn them on at all. Whatever. I feel like that's up to them, not up to us. I can't manage your ugly all the time. I can't.
I know, and I agree with that. It's just, but they vote, right? They congregate together. Oh wait, I forgot to play you the other video. Again, when I was talking about congregating and kind of brainwashing each other, and Eric said a great question: can we do cult deprogramming on a sixth to a third of the whole nation? I don't think so. So there was this reawakening festival that I was telling you about last weekend in Vegas. There's this instrument called the shofar. It kind of looks like a kind of a horn type thing, and they play it. They played it to kind of protect Donald Trump. Okay, so these are the people that we're dealing with here. These are the people that are congregating, that are feeding each other this echo chamber nonsense, right? But God wasn't having it apparently with this shofar thing. So this woman, I guess she's like a far right person, Amanda Grace, was tasked with leading this kind of prayer for their dear leader, and she then put to play this horn. This is just another thing that I know I'm being immature when I play all this stuff, but I have to do it. So here we go.
For your glory in the precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen.
That's her. God's like, stop.
What the hell is she doing?
I can't do it. I love the guy that puts his hand on her head, like that's gonna help. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for putting the hand on my head. The hand of God. Oh, thank you. Lori knows the background. A shofar is an actual ram's horn used in Judaism during high holy days. It's hard to blow. Well, she apparently had a lot of confidence that she could do it to protect her dear leader, and she could not. Yeah, Calvin. She doesn't know how to blow.
If it's a tool and implement of Judaism, why is that lady having it?
I don't know. Maybe she's Jewish.
Oh, I thought
I have no idea.
It sounded like a evangelical Christian prayer thing going on to me, but okay.
Yeah,
and don't you not think if you have to blow the ram's horn that you would practice first?
I think she probably did. Maybe she knows how to blow it. I can't imagine she brought the horn out and had never blown it before.
No, all the people in Hawaii that are conch shell blowers are looking at her going, what an idiot.
What an idiot.
Really?
Maybe she had stage fright. I mean, I shouldn't totally judge her. I just thought it was funny. She's like, let's protect, our dear leader and sound this horn. And then God's like, yeah, let's not, because I'm not. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. But again, it's, back to the Benicia mom, but and kind of tying into this whole reawakening festival. That's where these people are heading.
Yeah.
Like it's, they need to find it out themselves. They don't though. They're just in this bubble of, I don't know, Trump love. I really do think that it's become a mental illness, that it has become a cult. I 100% believe that MAGA people are in a cult. Like the fact that Donald Trump can do no wrong in your eyes. That is cultish. And what's funny, Kim, is a lot of them claim to be religious. And yet I would say that they worship Donald Trump way more than they worship whatever God they believe in. Right. Absolutely, hands down, do I think that. And that's just, I mean, if you believe in certain religions, that's literally the ultimate sin. It is literally violating the first commandment. And they do it. They wear those hats, they wear those shirts, they fly those flags. I mean, some of them may be doing that much for God. Not all of them, though. And not as often. So it's just, it's really, really ridiculous. Oh, okay. Now, Brian is saying, I own and I'm a professional shofar sounder.
Oh.
It is for Jewish observance. Her horn is from an African kudo. I find the way she used the shofar problematic for sure. Yeah, me too. And I didn't even know any of this.
That's cool, Brian. Love it.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. You should send me a video of you blowing it so I don't know what it's supposed to sound like.
This is how you really do it.
Like, because that just sounded like, like if you try to blow like a kazoo for the first time and you haven't blown it in a while, that's what it sounded like to me. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You're blowing it completely the wrong way. That's
if it's supposed to be a sound that signals God to protect Trump, right? Is that what it's supposed to, is that what she's supposed to be doing?
That's how it was presented in the video, right?
And if it comes out sounding like a dying sheep bloat or whatever,
right?
Bleat, then is that a signal that's saying God's not going to protect Trump? I'm just saying, like, if you can't pull off the sound, should that scare you if you're at the meeting thinking, oh, we're going to back him, and then the sound comes out and if God had wanted the sound to ring out loud and clear, then
they will make whatever excuse. They probably think the deep state probably clogged the horn or some crap. You know what I mean? We're dealing with nonsense here. They make up wild stories to justify anything and everything. Look at the last election. If you hand somebody a Tic Tac, oh, look, it's a USB drive with all the votes that they flipped. Like, I can make up any story I want to. And that's what they do. And they see no problem with it. No problem whatsoever. That blows my mind. It's just, it's ridiculous. And so many of you are offended by it, her using that. I agree. That's why I played it. It's just, they're off their friggin' rocker over here. Oh yeah. Mark Thompson had a drop of this woman. And they stand there and they watch this woman speaking, quote unquote, in tongues. And they're like, yep, I want to line myself with this person. And before you'd be like, okay, she could do that, but I'm not part of that party. It's crazy. Hula Steph says, I'm totally offended by this attempt at shofar blowing. Jews blow the shofar to welcome the new year, which is coming up in September. This one probably knows she is offending Jews. Ooh.
Well, Brian said it's not a shofar. It's some other type of
African kudo.
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes a difference to you, but
whatever, she's, I'm sure she's using it in the wrong way because I doubt it was created to protect Almighty Trump. Brian says, I will be proud to do that. I'll record a video and said, yes, sounded correctly. It is a beautiful sound. Please do, Brian. I'd love to hear it. I mean, honestly, I would love to hear what it sounds like. I'm being educated by all of our viewers today. And Lori says, that sounds like it's not an official shofar anyway. It's if wrong animal horn. I defer to the professional. I don't know horns. They think Trump saved Israel by moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Oh my Lord Almighty, whatever. Well, there you go. So that's the world of MAGA over here. Absolutely. Okay, we have time for one more. Again, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to go live to Maui. We're going to be speaking with a friend of the show, Deirdre, who watches the show. She's one of our Medorables, has a friend that lives in Maui. And we're going to talk about this push and pull of needing tourists, but not wanting them there. Maui being open, but not Lahaina, obviously. I mean, Lahaina has been destroyed. And so how do you support? Do you stay away like Jason Momoa has said? The actor who's from Hawaii, who's from Honolulu, I believe. Or do you go, but just not to Lahaina? And then what do you do if you do go over there? So we'll talk about that after the news headlines in about 15 minutes. But I wanted to ask this question. This is an interesting take, Kim Callister. So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have, either they're single moms, single parents. You get pregnant and have a child and you're not married to the father of that baby. You adopt, whatever. Okay. There's all kinds of situations in which children are brought into this world. Well, this one woman was asking an am I a a-hole question. And I want to get your take on what you would do. And is it even that big of a deal? So the question is, would I be the a-hole if I don't change my son's name, even though it may cause him to lose his inheritance? So she got pregnant. She got pregnant 5 years ago. She said the baby's dad lost interest in her, but she decided to still have the child. She met the father while traveling. She had to prove that the son belonged to him through a paternity test, which, okay. And then she describes his parents as very well off and states that they adore their first and only grandchild. They give the kid gifts for his birthday and Christmas. They help with extra money so that she, the mom, could complete her university degree without going into debt. They've taken us on vacation so they could spend more time with him. They aren't my biggest fans, but we are cordial to each other. 3 months ago, the 28-year-old father of said kid dies. Okay. Oh. Apparently he was drunk. He tripped on the sidewalk and died. Okay. Very sad. At the funeral. Okay. So here's the question. The mom, the grandma, walks up to the mother and says, will you change your son's surname, last name, to his dad's? And in return, he will become the grandparents' primary heir. Okay. So the mom, she's like, this is dumb. He's their only grandchild, and they would deny the inheritance just because of the last name. She said she'd consider it to be polite and has left it at that. She says, I actually have a pretty good life as it is. My family's been very supportive. And because of the whole court thing, my son's father had to have life insurance with him as the beneficiary. So there is a life insurance that's going to the kid. Would it be nice for my kid to get a big sum of money? Yes. Do I want him to have the surname of a man who did not want to see him, want him, or love him? No. The woman concludes the post by saying she will give her son the opportunity to decide when he's 16, but she admits her family's against the decision. She's like, it is generational wealth, and I'm making this decision based on emotion, but I think they're a-holes for thinking money is the only thing that matters. What would you do?
It is traditional
to
take our father's name, right? But it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to end up that way, especially if you have a father that's out of the picture, or for whatever reason. But in this case, you have the father's family who is in the picture. The grandparents have taken them on vacations. They want to be active, play an active role in the child's life. What would be wrong with a hyphenated name?
I don't know if they want to hyphenate. They didn't say hyphenate. They say take his name. Would you do it? Generational, very rich. Apparently very, very rich.
I think I would. Because, I mean, I don't know. I guess name is symbolism, and it's very important.
Well, remember, this kid has had a different last name for 5 years. So it's not like a baby. It's a kid that's gone by, McAllister, and then all of a sudden you're changing it to Medoro. That's quite the switch, He already knows how to bubble in the Scantron, is what I'm saying.
You could give me the most offensive last name, and if it meant I was going to get a couple $1 million, I would have been like, okay, call me Rumpelstiltskin, whatever it is you want.
Sandwich.
That's fine. Call me whatever. I just feel like if it's important to the grandparents, I guess it wouldn't be that important to me, but maybe it's really something she cares about, and a family name to her is so important. Yeah. I mean, McAllister is important to me.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Medoro is important to me.
I felt like when I got married, changing it, dropping it was dropping a part of who I was.
Okay.
And I don't even like my middle name, and I still kept it.
What's your middle name?
Lynn.
What's wrong with Lynn?
Nothing.
Lynn? Lynn?
With an E at the end. It just, I've just always felt like, I don't know. I don't love it. No offense to all the Lynns in the world. But it's just, it's not like an exciting, name you put in stars or lights, whatever.
It's not Barbie.
No. Whatever. So, but I didn't want to get rid of it either because it's part of who I am. So I understand.
Kim Lynn is kind of rhymey too.
Kimberly Lynn, yeah, whatever.
I know Kimberly Lynn, but Kim Lynn rhymes.
But I feel like, so I get that names are important to people, but I also understand that it could be important to the grandparents to want to carry on that legacy, especially now that the dad or their son is gone.
Yeah.
So maybe that's all they have in this world. So trying to, put yourself in their shoes and maybe throw them a bone, hyphenate your name - his name, and then your kid gets a big old windfall at the end. Come on. Take the money.
It's literally like, giving the kid a lottery ticket. Karen says the same thing. Change the kid's name. Do whatever it takes so he can get his inheritance. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Do it. Your child will thank you. Oh, and thank you, Hula Steph, for the $2. Hooray for
Hula!
Nikki. Hooray for you
you.
too, Hula Steph. Thank you so much for
Yay.
donating to the super chat. Let's see. Karen also says the grandparents adore him. That's enough. That is how I think. Like,
Yeah.
yes, the dad who died may not have wanted anything to do with the kids, but the grandparents did. And that's where the money's coming from. It's them. It's like, you can get all of my money. I just want to, it's so crazy though, right? Like names, it's so, I understand the family tree, but the family tree, is very knotted and twisted and goes different ways, especially when you're dealing with, current times. People get married, they get divorced, they adopt, all sorts of things. Perry Joe says, take the name, the money, and run. And the kid can always change his names later, like get the inheritance and then change it back.
Does not taking the name deny part of who you are in the world?
No, but I think it's a symbol, right? I mean, name. What is a name, right? It's just this thing that we make up to identify each other that we put down in a book. It's just like,
I mean, it is part of his family. That is part of his ancestry. The grandparents are his people. They're his people as much as her family is his people.
Yeah.
Now, add that it comes with a giant chunk of change. Okay.
Now, look at this one. Knit1 says, my last name was changed at 7. I was never asked, and I resent it to this day. Knit, if you got like millions of dollars, would you still resent it? And I'm not even kidding. I'm just wondering, like, if you didn't get anything except a different name, would you still resent it? And I mean that honestly, like, I feel like the money helps. Like, oh, that's why I got it, because I got paid, right? That's why I did it. Lady Beatrice says, I do it for the money, and then when the grandparents died, I'd hyphenate. Okay, I feel like that's fair. Take the name, take the money, and give a big fat FU to the deadbeat dad. Yeah, absolutely. Calvin, Kim, you wouldn't take the last name Hitler, would you?
Well, if I was his daughter?
Well, just what if,
to me?
Are there other Hitlers
or
out
just
there?
making the choice today? Absolutely not.
What if it was a Hitler not related to Adolf at all? Just their last name happened to be Hitler.
Well, if I had the misfortune to be born into a family with that particular name, maybe they're great people, but they have this name. They have nothing to do with the original. I mean,
right? How common is the last name Hitler?
And I would think that anybody with the name Hitler, like any family, has probably long since changed it by now.
According to Quora, 3,067 people bear the surname of Hitler.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
That's a lot. That sucks. I would
Can
not.
you imagine that being dealt that blow? Yeah, no, I wouldn't change my name to that. No. I mean, if I had been born into that family, I might consider changing it to something else as well, just because of the connotation of what that person meant to the world.
Right. Ricky says, names are important for those who declare them. I changed my last family name for pronunciation. Interesting. I know they're not together anymore, so I don't know how this actually worked out. But some friends of ours got married, and neither of them liked their last name. And so they just both changed their names to a completely different last name. But now they're divorced, and I'm wondering how that works. But I'm assuming they just kept it. But yeah, I don't think I would have a problem with it. But yeah, it's if you're going to be financially set for life, it seems like a really good reason to change your name. So hopefully she did it. I'm going to vote yes. Kim obviously votes yes.
Plus, that is their family. I mean, you get the money, and that is part of who you are. I don't know.
I can understand, like, it will remind the mom of the deadbeat dad, but it should also remind you of the fantastic grandparents.
Right.
They're civil, they're cordial, but they really love your kid.
Yeah.
And for that, why the hell not? Okay, we're going to do some headlines, because when we come back, we're going to go live to Maui, and we're going to be speaking with Rhonda. She lives in Maui, and we're going to kind of hear from the people that are there. What should us in the continental United States do to truly help Maui as a whole? Lahaina is obviously closed for business because it's been destroyed. But do you go to Kaanapali, which is very, very close? It literally just had a wildfire, but it was contained and not damaged. Do you go to Kaanapali? Very close. Do you go, to Wailea? Do you go to any part of West Maui, or do you just stay on the other parts of the island? And then what happens to those businesses? What do they truly want? And how do we do the right thing? Who do we listen to? So we're going to go live to Maui coming up. You guys, please click the thumbs up button. It helps us out immensely. The super chat is also live. Big thanks to everybody that's been donating during the show. You can donate any amount of super stickers, super chat, super thanks. If you put a comment in, we'll read it live on the show. And of course, go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. Become a Medorable, official Medorable, the monthly Patreon subscriber. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you find all of that. And now here's Kim with the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Florida is going to start seeing the impact from Hurricane Idalia. Such a pretty name for such a rotten thing.
I know.
The impact coming later today. Speaking at a news conference, Governor Ron DeSantis urged residents to leave the area if they're in a place vulnerable to storm surges and said those in the path of the storm should expect to lose power. The governor noted erring on the side of caution is the right thing to do in this situation. It just happened yesterday. Horrible. A graduate student at the University of North Carolina is being charged with first-degree murder after a deadly shooting on campus yesterday. One faculty member was shot and killed in an incident that triggered a 3-hour-long lockdown of the university's campus. Police say a gun has not been recovered. They will be interviewing the suspect to determine a motive in this case. Former President Trump holds a large, inexplicable lead, I would say, over his Republican rivals in Georgia, despite his recent indictment in the state. A new Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll found 57% of likely Republican primary voters in Georgia would support Trump for president in 2024, giving him a 42-point lead over his closest challenger, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The poll was conducted after Trump and 18 others were indicted in the 2020 election interference case earlier this month. So again, let me say it again. 57% of likely Republican primary voters in Georgia would support Trump. What does that mean for jury selection in that state? I wonder.
I mean, that's what Trump, kind of wants. You know what I mean? Like he's president of the United States. The jury pool, there's always going to be a question mark over it. There's literally nobody that doesn't know the name Donald Trump and at least some part of what he's been accused of doing. So I don't think that should be the bar anymore. We're in unprecedented times. We are just going to look for people that can be, the most fair, and let's look at the case and the evidence as it is presented. And if you could do that, then you should be on the jury.
Let's go to Maui. You're mentioning that we're going to go there live in just a few moments, but crews are nearly done searching for human remains now in Lahaina. There are divers from the Maui Fire Department, the Navy, and the Coast Guard searching the waters off Lahaina, including dozens of sunken boats. The death toll remains now at 115, 3 weeks after the fire, but there are still nearly 400 considered to be missing. Meanwhile, shares in Hawaiian Electric Industries are suddenly soaring after the Hawaiian Electric Company denied responsibility for this fire in Lahaina. The shares rose by 44% Monday. Wall Street Journal reporting it was the biggest one-day percentage gain in that company's history. The company's shares have been plummeting since the fire 3 weeks ago. So what I understand is the city of Lahaina was suing the electric company. The electric company says, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. It was a flare-up. The firefighters already knew about it. That means when the flare-up happened, it wasn't our fault, right? It was the firefighters' fault for not being on top of that flare-up. So,
and that I did think about that almost immediately when they said it started out as a small fire, right, and fire crews left and it came back up. I just keep thinking of anytime we have a fire, like in San Francisco, fire crews are going to remain out there to make sure there's no hot spots. That's like always a line in the news story. Why did they leave? Especially because there was such high winds. Right. It's not like the winds died down. And
you always leave one or two people behind to make sure nothing else happens, right?
I mean, how devastating it must be to be on that fire crew. I would feel guilty. And I do think that they do hold some responsibility. I do. Now, of course, it started with the initial fire because of the electric company. Yes. But to say that the fire company, has no responsibility, I don't think that's accurate either. You should have stayed. That should be part of your training. It's out.
Or is it the fire department's fault, or is it I don't know who sets the policy for firefighters or for emergency disaster preparedness. Here in California, we know better, right? We
Come
have the
on.
public safety power shutoffs. We have the policies where if there's a wildfire, they have to stay overnight. They leave a truck out there with a 3, 4, 2, I don't know, firefighters out there to, as you say, guard against hotspots. Where's that policy? If
Well,
that policy's not in place and there's a fire up in Kula, right, up country, and they've all got to go.
This is what I think. When we go camping, what do they say? What did Smokey the Bear say? If you pour water, you stir it with a stick and you make sure the damn fire is out. I mean, it seems basic that, and Calvin asked a good question. Maybe their fire department is small. I would,
very small.
At the very least, we need to retrain these firefighters. You do not leave a fire until you can walk on the ash in your bare friggin' feet. How about that? Like, especially in windy conditions. I keep thinking if the fire crews would have stayed, this would have never happened.
That's right. And does it become then the fire department's fault?
I think they should take some responsibility. Absolutely. I do. I'm not all of it, not 100%, because obviously it was the electric company that started the initial fire, which is what they're arguing. But absolutely, they hold some responsibility. Absolutely. You should know better. It actually gets me upset thinking about it, because this could have been avoided if they would have just stayed.
Absolutely. And it's infuriating.
Yeah.
Protests continue over the placement of asylum seekers in different locations throughout New York City. Last night, a few hundred people gathered again outside of a shuttered school on Staten Island to call on the city to move migrants out of their neighborhood. They don't want them next door. Migrants started being placed there last week, but no more are allowed to come until a lawsuit aiming to stop the migrants is heard next week. In San Francisco, education officials are meeting today. They'll be discussing the future of the San Francisco public school system. Superintendent Dr. Matt Wayne and others set to discuss possible changes to the school district in an effort to align district resources and operations. The meeting comes as the district faces several challenges, including declining enrollment. They've got staffing shortages as well, a big teacher shortage, right? Some parents and teacher groups believe financial mismanagement over the years has put the San Francisco City School District in a terrible spot. So, as you mentioned earlier, Nikki, music superstar Beyonce is being honored by the city of Santa Clara. The single ladies singer being given a key to the Santa Clara city today and being named an honorary mayor as well. Beyonce's Renaissance tour comes to Levi's Stadium Wednesday. And leaders say the hotel occupancy is near capacity, and they point to Beyonce's concert as the main reason for that. They say her show will be a boon for a local economy already riding high from the Taylor Swift recent 2-night performance at Levi's. So
I am extremely excited about this. I've never been to a Beyonce concert. I don't know all the songs off her newest album. I have been listening, like whenever I go to the gym, Spotify does concert set lists. And so I've been like kind of listening to the songs that people think are going to be played or have been played in past concerts. And it's going to be so much fun. I'm going with my husband though, which I'm really excited about, because I didn't know if he was going to want to go. Like people, I was like, if you want to come, I bought tickets. But I want to go with you. He's my first choice for everything in life. And so I was like, if you want to go, let's go. But if not, I'm positive that one of my other friends will go to the concert with him. He's like, I want to go see Beyonce. I'm like, let's do this. So I'll be really interested to see how groovy he gets.
You have to get video of him singing All the Single Ladies. That's what I want.
Hopefully she plays it. I have not seen it on the set list, because it's a lot of the Renaissance. I would assume that she's going to play it, but I don't know. I mean, because that's definitely one where everyone knows the dance moves. But I'm telling you, the Bayhive is just insane. They know every word, every dance move. I am not like that, but I'm going to have a ball watching people know every single word and every single dance move. So
lastly, a new survey is revealing how divided religious Americans are when it comes to the topic of racism. According to a new survey by Pew Research Center, a majority of white Christians are more likely to say people seeing non-existent racism is their biggest problem.
Mhm.
88% of Black Protestants, 60% of Hispanic Catholics, and 69% of non-Christian religious Americans say people not seeing racism when it exists is actually the biggest problem. A sociology professor at Baylor University says politics shape people's attitudes about race rather than their religious beliefs.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
I mean, I think there's probably more of an intersection between religion and politics than, it's not so we keep it all separate. So it probably all plays into each other.
Yeah, I think, it matters, kind of the problem with religion and politics is that I know so many liberals that are Christian Catholic and so many staunch Republicans that are as well. And so it always kind of, I don't like to lump completely with one political. It's how strongly they choose what parts of their religion they want to follow. That usually determines it for me.
This report is crowdfunded, which means we rely on you. So if you could check out theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, you'll find the Patreon link and the PayPal link and other stuff there as well. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not seeing Rhonda in our green room. So let me just text her a bit. I do have some videos to show. I'm just double checking that I did the email right. Let's see that. Yep. Yeah, I did. Okay. So I'm just sending her another quick email to let her know. And hopefully we can get her on. And if not, then maybe we can get her on tomorrow if there's some sort of hiccup or whatever. We're totally comfortable with that. But it is a tough call right now. I've told you guys, we're going to Hawaii next year. Because before the fire, my dad locked off his timeshare. So he's locked in on that. Now I'm assuming if Kaanapali had burned down to the ground, obviously I'm assuming he'd be able to get out of that, right? But it did not. And Kaanapali is where my parents' timeshare is. And so I've talked to my parents and my brother and I have said just what we've been discussing. I'm sure there'll be volunteer opportunities. I want to help with whatever they need way into next year, in the middle of next year, and we'll see what happens. But right now, what do you do? If this is the time of year when you like to go, what do you do? Now, here's a video. This is upset some people apparently in Maui because Jason Momoa obviously he's one of the most well-known Hawaiians, not the only one, but he's well-known, right? And he's come out and had quite a message for people wanting to go to Maui right now. Here he is.
Tourists not to come to the island.
I know there's been a lot of people who have been bummed about me saying Maui is shut. It's been a week. We haven't even found all the bodies. It's pretty horrific. Listen, no one needs to be in West Maui.
So, and he did quantify his comment. Nobody needs to be in West Maui. Now, is that all of West Maui? Is that Kaanapali? Is that Wailea? Is that every part? Then what happens to those people there?
So Wailea's on the other side, but Kaanapali is where, what I'm told, is where a lot of people that lost their homes are being put up in condos and other hotels. Right. So, and I think when you drive to Kaanapali on the upper highway, you pass through Lahaina. I think that whole area really ought to be avoided. So what I've heard is two different things. I've heard from people avoid the island altogether, right? There are some people that say don't come at all. There are others that even in Maui are saying, listen, there's a whole other side of the island that needs your business. Maui relies on tourism for 80% of its economy, right? So there are people that are hurting. And we heard from one of our listeners that was in Maui during the fires, and they managed to make it to the Paia area, that business owners were scared about what was coming after having faced the losses during the pandemic, thinking, we're just coming back from all that. How am I going to deal with these economic losses again? So there are groups, different groups that have different opinions on this. But
well, let me show another quick video because this is a guy, ABC News interviewed this guy that was he set up a makeshift kind of checkpoint for people driving through. Because again, like you mentioned, Kim, you do have to kind of go through Lahaina, and they've opened it up to rescue people and to those just passing through. And again, it is this push and pull of what do you do? So here we go. This is from ABC News.
We met with Vance Dyson, who survived the ferocious fires and then passionately helped his family make the sign, setting up a chair on the edge of their neighborhood's fence, forming what they consider an unofficial checkpoint.
In this time, it's kind of hard to accept people where, our resources is short.
Vance's niece, Courtney Lazo, helping us understand their frustrations.
Our people haven't even had a time to grieve on our own.
Courtney says their family made the sign because they want tourists away from their pain.
You have tourists taking pictures of the destruction in Lahaina while there's still bodies there. They're snorkeling off the waters while they're still pulling people out of the waters. It's extremely frustrating. And it feels like a slap in the face. Maui is open, Lahaina is closed, respectively.
This is Malaya Harbor. We're right along Highway 30, and it's the road to Lahaina. Following the fires, Maui Police, the National Guard, setting up a roadblock just for emergency responders. But now it's open to everybody during a curfew, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. local time.
People are mixing tourism issues with the emergency and the rescue efforts. So I would argue we have to separate those two.
General Manager of Maui Ocean Center.
And this is where I wanted to go. This is where I wanted to go, and I wasn't able to go. And I'm happy to see that it's still there, obviously.
At the Hawaii Aquarium,
Look at that.
Takani Vori explaining to us how integral tourism is to Maui's livelihood.
We hear that some of the boats are already stopping their operations. They're laying people off. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's a little bit emotional. We will keep our operations open as long as we can, even if it means we don't have income coming in.
Without those tourism dollars, what do you think recovery looks like?
If it takes longer, it's going to be more painful for more people. So let's keep it short.
A thought echoed by the Lazo family, aware of the economic pressures Maui faces, further intensifying the tension of the island's reliance on tourism and its dollars, making it clear Maui is open, but Lahaina is not.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's
different people feel differently about that, though. There are some people that say leave them alone.
Yeah,
And there
don't
are
even go
others
over
that-
there.
Yeah, there are other people that say the businesses need help, and even residents of Maui have very different feelings about it. So
I was listening to, God, was it NPR? I was listening to this news report. It literally was crying. And they were talking about how they're going to start the schools, because obviously these kids are supposed to be starting school. They lost so many of their friends, unfortunately, and it gets me all choked up because they were home for the summer. And they had this teacher on, and she's like, how can I go and teach when and she said, I've been doing this for so many years. That means it's X number of kids. And she said something like 200 kids. She's like, where are my students? Like, she cares about these kids. One, that is what I love about teachers. Like, oh my God, these are their children too. And two, God, I don't know what I would do if I had to walk into a classroom and you're expecting to see certain kids, there's that kid that I saw last year that's not there anymore. I mean, these people need to grieve this. So I totally get, don't go. But on the other hand, it's like they just got out of COVID. They do depend on tourism, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it is what it is. And so now they're losing their businesses. And if we lose these business owners, more of the Hawaiian culture, I feel, is also gone, So I feel like, if I could wave a magic wand, they should be made whole. If you're a restaurant that usually brings in a nearby that's not burned down business, like a restaurant, the money that the federal dollars that go to help because of this national disaster should make you whole as you provide food and services for those that need it. So you're still getting, quote unquote, the business, but it's going to these people. It's not going to tourism. You know what I'm saying? So, and maybe that's how it works a little bit, but shutting down boats and not needing all this, there's still people that need it. It's such a tragedy,
in that piece, how people can be so icky and there's this thing called disaster tourism, right? Where people go and they're taking pictures of the wreckage. And I mean, the news person in me understands that you're there at a place where something historic has happened. You know, you want to document that. You were there, you saw it, whatever. But to people that live there, it's sacred land. People
Yeah.
died there, and
They're still there.
you're being a looky-loo.
Yeah.
You know? Don't be a looky-loo. I guess if you feel like you need to go to the other side of the island, if you feel like you need to go to Wailea or Paia or Hana or Kahului or whatever, being in that whole other area, just don't go to the west side of Maui. You know, don't be the person that's snorkeling there when they're still pulling bodies off boats that are beneath the surface. I just feel that's so icky. And
I wouldn't want to go when that's going on. I'd be sad the whole entire time.
No,
There's
I
bodies
personally
in there.
like, you want to support people and you want them to be made whole, as you say, but I just have a problem going to to me, the feeling of a vacation is celebratory. Right? There's a
Yes.
lightness. I want to forget about bad stuff in the world. I want to forget about my daily grind. I want to go on vacation. I want to feel this, you know, this is what life's about. These are, I'm living for these moments, right? And so if you're going to a place that has suffered this horrible situation, then my mind is on that the whole time. I'm not snorkeling off the coast of the Grand Wailea, not looking down the coastline thinking, you know, about what's happening down the road.
Exactly.
So for me, it would be a different kind of vacation.
Vacation, absolutely.
You seek out volunteer opportunities. You're doing other things, and I guess it depends on who you are. You know, are you
Yeah,
a
as a
person who's
person,
been there a
and-
couple times and who can separate what happened from your vacation, or are you one of those mainlanders, the Kama'aina, who loves Maui, who loves Hawaii, who loves the culture, and you go to help?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I forgot what I was just going to say, but Jim makes a good point. Think of 9/11. People were asked to not visit for 3 months so that they could remove the bodies and debris. Respectfully, many did stay away.
Yeah.
And that's the point. I think most people, obviously not all people. I can't imagine being somebody that's like, yeah, I know that happened, but can you like give me my Mai Tai? I paid for this vacation. I can't imagine anybody going to Hawaii with that friggin' attitude.
Oh, but
you know,
they're there. They're there. You know.
It just it seems insane to me to do that. And there are other roads, right? Jennifer was asking, I don't think it's a good road, but isn't there a road from the east side over to the north side? I think Charles Lindbergh is buried there. I don't know that. I don't know.
Are you talking about the road to Hana? I think maybe she's talking about the road to Hana.
Oh, is that what
yeah,
she's talking?
that's the different side of the island. So West Maui and the Hanaopi'ilani Highway that's the one you shouldn't go on. That's
Go down.
I think it's open with a curfew, is what was mentioned in the piece.
Yeah.
But that's the whole area that I think you want to avoid. But the other side of the island, I think if you were going to go,
Right.
that's accessible.
And if you want to
it's okay.
support Maui as an island in and of itself, I saw our friend Brett Burkhart when I was up in San Francisco on Friday, and you know I hadn't talked to him since it's happened, and he goes often to Maui, and he's like, I'm so sad. He's like, you're so lucky that you were able to see it.
Yep.
And I was like, I know. And it made it even more heartbreaking because what was I saying the entire time, Kim? I'm going to come back next year. So everything I didn't catch this time, I'll catch next time. And that just, again, it's going to get me all choked up. That's life for you people, you know?
Yep.
It's like, you never freaking know what's going to happen. And, but I'm so glad that I at least was able to see Lahaina. I was able to go downtown. I mean, I literally stood, we were getting away from the heat under the banyan tree. Like it's, you know, it's one of those things where you don't realize what you're experiencing until it's literally gone. So,
and I would say the people on Maui that survived the fire or lived in a different area, it doesn't matter where you live. You are emotionally wounded, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to take a while. You heard that woman say, we're still grieving. You know,
Right.
we're still here. We're still, you're coming to our place that, you know, that's hurt. We're hurting. And it's really hard to juggle financial needs versus wanting to lift people up and give them the space they need
Yeah.
to find the healing they need to have.
Yeah.
Jenny says, I'm going to Kihei end of September. I would cancel my plans if it was Kaanapali. They need to keep their jobs, especially after COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wrong,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Kihei was what I was thinking about instead of Wailea. Yeah. I mean, it's because that's the area near where we stayed. And it's gorgeous down there. There's so many businesses. And again, but part of me says it's still way too close, right? I mean, it just seems really close right now, I mean, in months, I'm thinking, do people spend Christmas or whatever in Hawaii? I know some people like to do that. Is it going to be cleaned up enough to make that okay? I don't know. We're just going to have to take it day by day and see what they need. But I do think I want to share this one other image kind of before I move on. And unfortunately, I think something happened with Rhonda. So hopefully I emailed her and I texted her. So hopefully she's okay. And I'd love to get her back on, to get her on. But there was this, where's my picture? Oh, hold on. So there was this impromptu concert that was held. When was this? This was yesterday, I think. Oh, no, Sunday. This was on Sunday. Here's a picture of it. So this was an impromptu concert, and more than 700 residents from the town held an impromptu concert. I don't want to butcher it. Honokawai Beach. Honokawai Beach Park. Most of them lost their homes or knew someone who had. As of Sunday, of course, hundreds of people remain unaccounted for. But they went out there and they just put on this hours-long concert. They donated food and drinks. It was the idea of local volunteers who suddenly decided to put on a music in the park at a long-standing gathering place for the residents. And word spread quickly, and people went out there to perform. And not that this is making people necessarily feel better about what they've lost, but I do feel like the image of community is so important. Going back to that story about that I listened to about the teachers and not wanting to go back to the classroom, they're actually building a memorial at this place. And forgive me, I don't remember. It's in Lahaina, but it's the place where all the kids would run to after school to get picked up by their parents.
Oh.
And so they're building this kind of but a memorial to these children who aren't there anymore. You know what I mean? And just everything is going to change so much for the people that live there. I could see, now is the time to ensure that there's ways to remember those that aren't here anymore. LAX makes a point. There are people that couldn't be bothered to wear a mask. Of course, people are going to continue their vacations in Maui. What do we know the number of people that are still missing? About 400? Yeah, something like that, right? Ricky says family and community is everything. Yep. Karen says people need community, some joy. We need our humanness. It's going to be a long slog. Unfortunately, it's happening in a place that's extremely popular and heaven for a lot of people, and there's so many memories there.
It's really hard too for people to know what the right thing to do is.
Exactly.
Especially when you have locals with such differing opinions on it. There are some locals who are like, leave us alone, don't come. And others are like, listen, we need your money, please come. So you have this conflict of messaging, and it's hard to know because you want to do what they want you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to either, if they say give them the space, then give them the space. If they say come spend your money, we need you, then you want to be there to support them in that way. But because there's so many different feelings about it, it's really hard to know what the right way to help is.
And you don't want to offend people. You don't want to, on one hand, you want to go to these, let's go to a restaurant or do some sort of touristy thing, which they want your tourist dollars. But then I'd feel bad even asking for anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll get my own food. I'll cook it. Do you need me to cook it? I'll just, I don't know. I don't want to hurt people, that are already hurting. Right. And I think that's kind of the overwhelming emotion that I have. But this is I didn't know this. SF Tesla says, funny you should mention, because somebody has mentioned going to Vegas instead of Hawaii or Maui. Most of the Maui evacuees went to Las Vegas. I did not hear anything about that, but that.
No. I know there's a large population of people that are from Hawaii that live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
On the mainland, it's kind of a congregating place for people of Hawaii. But I haven't heard of people. I mean, maybe you could go
Maybe.
visit family members that live
Right.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
Yeah.
out there. You know, that's just on a side. That's kind of funny, right? Like you live in paradise, and so on vacation you go to what some people would call hell on earth. I mean, Las Vegas, while fun, completely opposite, in my opinion, of the gorgeousness of some place like Maui. But I guess when you go on vacation, you want something different. That's
Totally different.
Not as
I
different as
mean,
you can get.
Why would you live on Hawaii and vacation in San Diego? Like, what's
That's
the point
true.
of that?
Well, unless there
Yeah.
was like a amusement park, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you got the beach.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. You know, that's interesting. It has to be interesting to live in paradise. Where do you go on vacation?
Snow, New York City.
I would never go to snow. That's not
Places
my
that are
heaven.
completely different.
Yeah.
Well, you know, other
Nope.
than if you're up on the top of the big volcano on the Big Island, Mauna
That's true.
Kea,
Yeah.
you have never seen snow, right? And
That's
so,
true. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you've trekked up to the top of the, where the observatory is and you've seen it, but chances are you haven't. So you
Yeah.
might want to go see snow once in your life and ski and do winter sports. I don't know.
Now for something entirely different. Let's
Yeah.
go to Las Vegas. Let's go to the desert. Let's go away from paradise and go to the desert. And SJ Lola says Hawaiians love to gamble. Now that I can buy. There you go. Not for the surroundings, but definitely for the gambling.
I hope the businesses that are in West Maui, though, I hope they get financial assistance so they can stay open. I think Old Lahaina Luau remains. I want to say Star Noodle might have remained. I'm
heard
not
that no.
sure. Is it been burned down?
I think so. I went to their Facebook page. Because I went to Fleetwood's, which was
Yeah.
in Lahaina, that burned down. So I'm thinking of all the places, and obviously the place where I got the Hawaiian ice that burned
Yeah.
down.
Ululani's
I'm thinking of all
gone.
I didn't check Monkey Pod, but I'm assuming because the Monkey Pod that I went
That's
to
in
was
Kihei.
that's
Yeah.
in Kihei, so that wasn't. And
But
there's
there
another one in
are-
Kaanapali, but that's not burned down.
There are some businesses there that, you want to see thrive. And so I hope that the county of Maui, the state of Hawaii, is
Mhm.
looking at them and giving them resources, just like what happened with COVID, to
Mhm.
say, what do you need to stay open?
Yeah, exactly.
We know that you don't need to buy the same amount of food unless you're helping feed the people there. We know that, your tourist dollars are down. What do you need to keep your employees flush and stay open, even though you might not have the same overhead you did before? How can we help?
Yeah, I just feel like that's an easy math equation. What did you spend on goods that you don't need to spend because you're not doing what you just said? But
Right.
what did you pay employees every time? What were their tips? I mean, look back over the last 6 months, right? And just
Yeah.
give them that. I just feel
Right.
like we make things way more complicated than we need to. And I know it's probably way more complicated than I understand, but that's what they need. They need to be able to pay their bills. They need to obviously have food, shelter, the basic necessities. And then they need to be able to pay their employees so that the employees can stay and then come back when they rebuild. That's what they need.
And that's the scary part, is if you rebuild and price people out, or people don't have the money they need to rebuild because they don't have the jobs that they need to
Yeah.
get money together. We have heard stories of people who didn't have insurance. So, and then what happens to that land? And then do the big corporations come in? There's already all these conspiracy theories about, the fire was started by, real estate land grabbers
my
who
God.
wanted. I mean, you can't imagine. I don't think anybody could have predicted the severity with which that fire would wipe out an entire town.
Nobody's going to do that unless you're like
No.
the devil incarnate. My husband literally, I'm so glad you brought up conspiracy theories. So my husband follows nonsense on Facebook. Sorry, honey, you do. And there's this one guy that he knows personally that likes to share conspiracy videos. So my husband was watching one, and one had to do with Lahaina. And this guy was just recording. He wasn't really giving an opinion, but he's saying there is this I don't know, plastic sheeting or wall all the way around the burn area, as if they're hiding something. I'm like, yeah, they're hiding the fact that they're pulling charred bodies out of the ground. I don't understand why that's so hard for people, but they're like, no, the government is hiding something. What the hell are you talking about? Those sorts of things divert resources and attention from where the attention should be, which is on these people. Oh yeah, Dutch says, I was just told the worst conspiracy theory about their wanting to build a smart city there with folks with money coming in. Now, there's no conspiracy that people with money are going to buy up land. Hopefully Maui and the officials there are able to really control who is able to buy and rebuild in that area, but that's going to be up to them, and that's going to be tough. But yeah, if someone did that, they'd have bad juju go in their way. It's so sad. Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. It's just like, to bring up the amazing horror movie of our childhood, Poltergeist. You don't build a neighborhood on a cemetery. You know what I mean? You make sure that you're respectful to the land and to the people. And if not, bad things are going to come to you. Absolutely.
Well, then what happens to Lahaina, which is basically a giant cemetery?
Exactly.
They're
they
probably
didn't in Poltergeist. They didn't dig up the bodies, Kim. That famous line. Like, obviously,
I would say they're probably bodies that have been burned so badly that they're never going to find all those people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just ash now. So, how are you respectful, but also respectful to the culture to rebuild?
Yeah.
Katie
asked an interesting question.
Yeah,
Yeah, she says, I've not been to Maui. Is it realistic to think that volunteers and emergency workers are being housed on the east side? If so, are there enough hotel rooms for tourists?
Yeah, there are people being housed on the east side. We've seen stories about FEMA workers staying at the Grand Wailea. The story was that they aren't working so fast because they may be enjoying the accommodations a little too much. But I think most people that have lost their homes are being housed in West Maui or in Airbnbs. So they're saying that there are places. I was reading one account of a woman who was flying to Maui, and she was pretty much the only one on the plane.
Yes.
So I think if you did want to go and you did want to spend your tourist money there, or you did want to go volunteer maybe at the Maui Animal Shelter, or, you have expertise in some way that could be helpful, for whatever reason you want to go, I think there are places that you can stay. And at this point, everyone who needs shelter hopefully has it. And
they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the rooms open would be available to you if you can find one. Yeah.
I mean, everybody that needs a shelter, the story I read last week, is being housed in not temporary shelter. Like, it's either a hotel room or something like that. So, again, we're going to have to see what happens over there. I will say in the next 6 months, people will understand what's needed, but it's what happens to the people there in the next 6 months that's going to determine what their future is on that island. So,
and I was told after October is when everyone says you're welcome to come back.
Yeah, they don't want it to last too long. Yeah, they don't want it to last too long.
The month of September is still kind of close, but again, people are having different feelings about it. But I would say October onward, then maybe you should have less of less of a question mark there that you should go spend money if you can.
Yeah. It's and the reason why I want to and I honestly want to keep having this conversation because I do think that people's hearts are in the right place. Most people's hearts are in the right place. And because it's such an interesting dichotomy between an area where during COVID, it was like a refresher, right? The tourists went away, the island was back to theirs, but there wasn't a tragedy on top of that tragedy, right? It was like the tourists went away for a specific reason to keep people safe. Now they're staying away because, one, there's not a place to go, and two, they want to be respectful, but at the same time, a pandemic on top of a disaster is just too much. It's just too much, and I'm just so heartbroken for these people. I really am. Okay. Well, again, and hopefully Rhonda will, and Deirdre, thank you so much for trying to hook it up.
Yeah.
When she's ready to come on, we will bring her. We're going to be talking about this forever. So the door is always open. And to anybody, if you guys know somebody on the island of Maui, or even on the neighboring islands to kind of see the impact, always welcome on the show. Just send me an email, the Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com. And the door to the show is always open because it's our show, us and the Medorables. So there we go. Okay, can we talk about something completely different right now? I want to talk about aging, Kim McAllister. Aging as a woman in 2023. Okay.
My little gray hairs at the temple.
Are you kidding me right now? Okay, so can we talk about the fact now? I'm going to be totally blunt with you guys. And I've talked about this, I think, on when I had the radio show, but now that I'm on video. So I am going through like changes, right? Like obviously the gray hairs. I think I'm doing pretty good on the wrinkles. Like I moisturize and I tried a sunscreen and all those sorts of things. But I have developed pretty bad melasma on my face. Okay. Does anyone know what melasma is?
Is that
It's
where
like
your
a
skin changes color, like hyperpigmentation?
yeah, hyperpigmentation. Okay. So I have it on my face. I'm on a what do we call it? It's a process. I'm on this process, right? With my skin. I am seeing some results, but I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to get my hormones checked. I'm turning 45 this year. Okay. And while I know that's not old, I do not feel like I'm old. I want to know what the hell's going on with me, my hair, my skin, my body. I want to kind of get like a baseline because I am aging. But what does it mean to age in 2023? Because if people like Charlize Theron can't even age naturally, I don't think there's any hope for us. So there's been a number of articles because she has come out and talked about how she's embracing aging, but people are commenting on her face as if she did something like plastic surgery. And she's so confused. She says, my face is changing. And I love that my face is changing and aging. People think I had a facelift. They're like, what did she do to her face? I'm like, I'm just aging. It doesn't mean I got bad plastic surgery. This is just what happens. I'm going to show you said picture. Do you think she's done anything to her face? I feel like she's just aged. Now, I'm not saying she's never done anything to her face. I don't think that's what she's saying at all. But she's saying she's 48 years old, so she's a few years older than me. She takes issue with the differences men and women face when it comes to growing older. She says women want to age in a way that feels right to them. And she says, I think we need to be a bit more empathetic to how we all go through our journey. She's like, I wish I had my 25-year-old body that I could just throw against the wall and not even hurt tomorrow, doing, stunts for movies. Now, if I don't work out for 3 days and I go back to the gym, I can't walk. I can't sit down on the toilet. I totally understand that. Do you think it's okay? I mean, obviously it's okay. Do you think women are allowed to, without scrutiny, able to age gracefully in 2023? Have we evolved enough as a society to not worry about it so much? Or are you worried about it, Kim? I mean, we're close in age. I mean, are you that worried about it?
You're a little younger than I am, but
not that much younger than you.
Yeah, you're pretty much younger than me. I will say that, women that I've known that have decided to let their hair go gray.
Right. My mother's done that. Yes.
People look at them, but say they're like, I don't know, 45, right?
Right.
And their hair's going a little gray and they decide to just embrace it. Instead of dyeing it, they're just letting it go gray. And I'll hear other people go, why is she doing that? Does she not realize that makes her look older?
Right.
She'd look so much better if she just dyed it black or if she just covered up that gray. Then you wouldn't be able to tell how old she is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's wrong with being able to tell how old she is?
Right.
We're all going to get old. Why do we try to mask it and put a Band-Aid over it? It is. You talk about not wanting wrinkles. I get it. I will tell you that it's miraculous to me. And you guys in the chat back me up on this. You can think, I don't have wrinkles under my eyes. This is great. And then all of a sudden, one day you wake up, you think it's a gradual thing. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and they come out of time and space and they hit you like a ton of bricks. And you're like,
yes,
Jesus, where did that come from? So, I mean, I don't know, but I just don't want to. I think people try to hide it and it can look awkward and weird. That's just my own personal opinion. If you're for plastic surgery and you want to go fix your face, more power to you, go do it. But I don't know. I just think I'm one of these people that is just going to get older and I'm just going to look older and that's just going to be the way it is. And I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to always, have my personality, my thoughts to share, my whatever.
Exactly.
And if you don't like the package it comes in, I can't help you. I mean, I am what I am. I am the age I am, and the alternative to me is not palatable. So this is what you get. This is who I am. Wrinkles, yes. Melasma, you say? Sure. I have a little spot right there. I don't know why it's there.
Well, I have
Here it
the
is.
mustache, and I have I have it on my cheek, and I have it on my lip. I have it. I still have it so bad that when I don't wear makeup. Now, my mom, I love you, Mom, but she doesn't see very well. She's 73 years old. Okay.
Mhm.
This woman who doesn't see very well, she's like, I think you need to wax your mustache. And I was like, I don't have a mustache. It's melasma. And she's like, oh, she's like, you should probably try to do something about that. And this was last year. And so
Thanks, Mom.
But see, I don't feel like that's trying to like force away aging. I don't want, you know what, the reason I want to do something about it. I'm done wearing so much makeup on my face because I moisturize and everything. If I didn't have these like stupid spots on my face, I would be fine not wearing, maybe a little mascara to open the eyes or whatever, but I don't want to have to wear stuff on my face all of the time.
Right.
And it sucks. And it makes me unhappy looking in the mirror. Now, would I ever get a nip or a tuck or a facelift? No. I firmly believe you don't mess with your face. Because now I'm sure if I was rich and but even then, like you see some rich people, once you start doing it, I feel like you just constantly have to maintain it. Now, let me ask you also this. And I don't know if your daughter's like my daughter. Our daughters are the same age. Is Julia into a skincare routine?
So she uses Purity face wash and Purity moisturizer. Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
So my daughter, she uses, she just has face wash, but she has like this glowing cream. She does the gua sha. Do you know what that is? It's like this stone where you do these facial massages. I don't even do this stuff. And I'm like,
wow, okay.
There's all this. And I mean, my daughter's 14. Of course her face is going to glow. But so I look at her and I go, what are you doing all of this for? I'm like, your skin looks great. And she's like, my skin looks great. She's like, I don't have all these pimples on my face. Which again, that's puberty, that's hormones. That's not just because you wash your face all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny to hear her talk. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, these teens and 20-somethings are treating their skin as if they never want to age. Like you're going to age. I don't mind okay, so if I'm going to be honest, if I was going to get anything done to my face, if I was ever going to do anything, I would want to do Botox on my crow's feet. Now, if I don't smile, there's no wrinkles. But the minute I smile, they're deep. But then I think to myself, those lines come from laughing and smiling. And those lines are the joy that you've had in your 40 some odd years of life. Why do I want them to go away? Do I want to look just smooth? The Washington Post also had an article on this, and they asked these questions that are great. What does a 48-year-old woman look like now? Are 82-year-olds supposed to look like Martha Stewart recently on the cover of SI?
No,
I mean,
they're not supposed to
what does it look
that.
like anymore?
And I would argue that, people talk about, oh yeah, just Botox it. Just put, your little line right here. I have a little line right in the middle of my and it's like, I could put Botox there, but you know what Botox is? It's what? I'll butcher the name, but botulinus toxin?
It's botulism. You're injecting botulism in your face. Yeah.
So do I want to do that just for the sake of not having a line on my face? I just can't get behind it. I'm not taking the risk. And if you put it near your eyes, that can be dangerous. People are like, oh, it's not dangerous. It's safe. There's risks with everything.
There are risks with everything.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I think no matter how good of care our daughters take of their faces, at some point, time catches up with us all. But I found myself, how they say you're supposed to, when you put things under your eyes, you use your fourth finger.
Yeah, you're supposed to lightly tap.
And lightly tap with your fourth finger under your eyes this way.
I use my middle finger because I use my middle finger for everything.
Like you're supposed to fourth finger gently. So Julia's stretching her eyes this way with, going the wrong way. And I'm like, oh no, don't, that's the wrong way. Let me teach you the right procedure here.
Yes,
and I'm thinking, what's the point? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I wish I had it nearby. Okay. So another thing to laugh at. Have you ever seen the movie, The Sandlot? Do you remember that movie, The Sandlot?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember the scene, but when the movie starts, the main character, the boy, he doesn't have a baseball hat, but he has his mom gave him a hat, Like it's not like a regular baseball. It had like this large brim on it. I don't know if you remember. There's a whole scene where they're like, you need to get rid of that hat. I bought a hat that my husband says reminds him of that, because you're absolutely right. It's the sun that does it, right? So I tell my kids all the time, what kid likes their parent putting sunblock on them, right? But I tell my kid, especially my daughter, because she's into her skincare, but my son too, you need sunscreen on your skin. And now I got to block this. I'm not even supposed to be in the sun at all while I'm going through this process with this skincare stuff that I have. But I really hope it works. There's nothing more depressing than looking in the mirror and not liking what you see, but it's not because I'm aging. It's because I don't like these spots on my face. Does that make sense? Does that make me vain?
But if
does
I don't want to say yes, but if that's part of your aging, if your aging is a little blotchy, then okay, that's your aging.
I have a mustache that's not a mustache, Kim. Are you telling me that I'm supposed to age?
I draw the line at facial hair. This is where
This is not facial hair, though. It's just a dark
maybe
spot
I'm not
that
going to
looks like it.
I'm not. Well, yeah. Then I think that's fine. You're beautiful.
No way. Are you telling me,
gorgeous woman?
It's because there's a blur.
You rock that. You rock that melasma mustache, honey.
It's so awful. It is so awful. I know, Ron. I'm trying to stay out of the friggin' sun. It's really hard when you're your kid's taxi. But I do. I put tons of sunblock on. I reapply. I have like one of those sticks that so I can rub it in really, really well. I do all those things. And literally it happened, I want to say maybe 5 years ago when we went to Cancun. Anybody that has melasma knows this. I'm on vacation. My brother looks at me and he's like, you have a dark spot. It started here. I got rid of this one. And I had this big dark spot right here in between my forehead. And so my dumbass, because I don't know what's happening to me because I'm getting older, right? I just start tanning. I was like, oh, I'll just tan it away. No. I had all my pictures of Cancun. It just kept
You're going the wrong way. No.
And darker. And I mean, I still wear sunblock, but you're supposed to stay out of the sun. I don't know. That's the reason I asked is because I am doing this. And just what you mentioned, Kim, am I trying to deny aging by trying to fight these dark spots on my face that obviously have come with aging? But I'm not doing
you might get rid of
surgery.
them for now, but I think this might be the way your body is, the way your skin is going to age a little bit. So by the time you're 60, you're going to have some spots, but you know what? They're going to be cute spots. My daughter is a redhead,
right?
Very fair skin. And she has 4 cousins on my husband's side of the family that are also redheads. And they are covered from head to toe with freckles.
Yes.
But she wasn't, because I'm the kind
religious
of person
about putting it on.
I walk into the sun, I turn red. My mom is not. She's kind of has more of olive skin, so she never had to really worry about it. And so through my childhood, because she didn't have to worry about it, she didn't get that I needed to be plastered from head to toe with sunscreen. So I spent a lot of time in my life burned as a kid.
Oh, baby.
All right. So because of this, I'm religious about putting sunscreen on my kid's face before school in the morning. So when she's on the playground, she's not turning bright red, keeping the freckles away. She decides after seeing her cousin's freckles, she wants freckles. She's like, why are you keeping freckles off me? I want them. I think they're adorable and cute, and I want them. So she set out to get
them.
freckles. She will stand out in the sun and look up at the sun and will the freckles to come. She wants spots on her face. I mention this because we all have a different perception of what we want.
Nobody wants a melasma mustache. I don't care how much you're trying to sell me on these friggin' wrinkles or freckles. Nobody wants a melasma mustache.
But what if the spot migrates and your whole face looks a little darker and you look like you have this beautiful tan?
I wish it happened like that, but that's not how melasma works, my friend. I'm glad that I could share all of this with my entire viewing audience. But my point, just to kind of put a fine point before we go, aging is different for men and women. Women have to and it's not fair, but it's true. I'm just going to say it. Yes, we should age gracefully. Somebody was saying, set the example for the younger generations and age gracefully. I'm trying to. I talk to my kids about, especially my daughter, just take care of yourself. Eat right, drink water, take care of your skin, put sunblock on. Even if you do all of those things, you still might get a melasma mustache, but who knows? I'm not on birth control. by the way, Kim. My melasma is caused because I'm freaking old, apparently. I have no idea why it's happened. But yeah, I think I don't know if I'm going to look like, Charlize Theron or Martha Stewart when I get older. But I'm going to try everything besides going under a knife and squirting botulism in my face. I haven't hit the point where I need Botox yet. How about that? I haven't hit that at all. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Click that thumbs up button to show your support of the show. Make sure you stay on YouTube, though, because Mark Thompson is next. Kim McAllister is going to slide on over. And then, of course, the After Party Live is from 1 to 2 with Kim and John Daly. All the links are on this channel, so you don't have to Google it. Just click the links right below this, and you'll go straight there and have a fabulous time. Super Chat is live. Let me say thank you to Stan Pollock with a $10 donation. Yay. Thank you so much, Stan. Also, Hula Steph, we love your support. Thank you so much for the donation as well. You could donate also during the replay if you want to, and we appreciate that as well. But the number one way to support the show is to become an official Medorable by signing up for our Patreon. You can sign up for any amount you can afford. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. $5, $25, $100. It's a one-time a month payment, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you. All right, I'll see you over at Mark Thompson Show, and I'll see you right here tomorrow at 9. Bye-bye, everybody.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.